This is how to install the CryptoCadet Pay button in NextJS. Now the NextJS installation is very similar to the React installation with a few key differences. As always, you will find the installation instructions for NextJS and all of the other options in our build section of the Ascendant Finance app. So what we'll go ahead and do first then is we will open up our code editor, and we need to create our next app. So the setup instructions may differ. For example, here I'm not going to use TypeScript. It's not going to make too much of a difference because we're just installing one package. But just be aware that you do have those additional options. Okay, now that that's done, we can go ahead and cd into that directory and run npm install just in case. And then from there, what we would do is we need to install our React Crypto Pay package. All right, and we're done. So now the installation instructions for NextJS, like I said, are very similar to the React instructions. However, instead of just being able to import this directly into our index.js file, what we actually need to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to create a component for it. So what we're going to do is in our source folder, we're going to create something called components, or a file called folder components, and then crypto pay button.jsx. We can drop that in, and let's go ahead and format some stuff. Okay, now for the API key, as always, we get our API key from our settings. We can plop that in. For product ID, you get that from your build as well. If you don't have a product ID already, you'll have to create one by you can call it whatever you want and then give it a price and save it. For now, I'll just use one of the ones I have. From there, just label it anything. Now this custom style object, you're gonna have to replace this. This is one of the differences between React and NextJS. You'll get an error if you just try to do something like, it's like a CSS declaration error. If I try to change the button color red, like I would with like the JavaScript installation, it wouldn't let me. So instead, what I need to do is I'm going to create some styles. Let's call it custom styles, and it's an object. And then from there, I can just, let's call it red. And then I will pass in custom styles. Right? And then with email and shipping address, you just know that if you don't need to require it, it's optional. If I didn't want the shipping address, I could just delete it. With email, this is if you want to send like a confirmation email to your buyer after they've purchased something. It's not required, but if you want to be able to send that email, you have to ask for it. Otherwise, we're not going to collect it. Okay, so from there, we are all set. What we're going to do is now we have to go into our index. We can delete all of this. Maybe I'll keep the main window. Okay, and from there, what I'm going to do is I have to import dynamic. And then if we go back to our installation instructions for Next, what we'll find is we need to bring in that extra line there. Copy and paste it in. Make sure you get the file name right. And then bring that in. Now, if I did everything right, we should be able to boot this up and see our button. Red is not defined. Oops. Red is certainly not defined. You are correct, React. And if I refresh that, we see our red button is here. I can press it, and sure enough, the portal comes up.